Straw Hut Media.
Hello on the Rockers, it's Husband Night with TLC's 90 Days the Other Way, fabulous stars Kenny and Armando, with a drop-by by social media influencers and podcast host husbands Michael and Matt, with me, not married, no dates, single, just cats. Your favorite host with the sassy most. Raise a glass and let the drinks begin. It's On the Rocks.
Thank you for being
Boulevard.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Lord have mercy, buttons and bows and pantyhose. On the Rocks podcast, a place where we're too glam to give it to him. I was just kidding about all that stuff at the beginning of me being single, no dates, with plenty of cats. I don't have cats. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at On the Rocks on Air, and on Facebook, On the Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email, book me for a pride, wedding, funeral, quinceanera, bris. I don't care. I'll show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. Also, send us your comments. You've been sending us guest requests and guest questions, and we love that. So info at ontherocksradioshow.com. The show's presented by Straw Hut Media. You can watch and or listen to our now over 320 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com. You can watch us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV on the Outlet.tv app, Facebook Watch, streaming with pride on SVTV, and on Channel 31 on the East Coast. P.S. I'm still waiting for my TLC spinoff. I don't know what it would be. On the Rocks the other way. We'll see tonight. Let's get the show on the road. Returning to On the Rocks, now that the honeymoon is over, Kenny and Armando on 90 Day Fiance the other way, season 2, that's where we first met them. The couple met in an online support group for gay fathers, and after dating long distance, Kenny moved to Mexico to be with Armando. After years of not being able to open up about his sexuality, Armando finally spoke to his sister about his struggles, and upon receiving her blessing, he came out to his parents again and revealed that he has a partner and they're moving in together. Dun, dun, dun. Telenovela time. Kenny finally met Armando's family. Tears were shed. And as the family came to terms with them being engaged, moving, and taking Armando's daughter, Hannah, with them, and after difficulty getting a marriage license, by the way, the two were married in a beautiful ceremony. Hello, People Magazine exclusive pictures. Now that the honeymoon is over, the couple is back for season 5 of the hit show. And boy, is there a lot to talk about, I will tell you. Please welcome back to the show, Kenny and Armando.
Hello. Hola. Cheers.
Hola. There we go. There we go. That's the couple I know. I have to ask you, what do you love most about doing the show that keeps you coming back for more? And the spin-offs, Pillow Talk, all that stuff that we love.
For some reason, they keep asking us. That's a big reason.
It's because you are fabulous, by the way. That's why.
Yes. No, but besides that, even though it's a little bit true, in reality, I think for me, a lot of it is just the coming outside to it. Doing the show has been really like a therapy thing for me. I've been able to talk and have conversations with my family that I wouldn't have had if producers weren't around me, if cameras weren't around me. It's almost like I'm thrown into the
Wolf's Den.
Yeah. And then I end up having to talk, and it's been healing for our whole family, which is great.
All right. Well, I was going to tiptoe, but since you brought it up, we're just going to dive right in. We see a very different Armando, and I have to tell you, coming also from a Mexican family, there's things that you talk about, things that you're not talk about. And we had seen in your first season that we thought, everything kind of bubbled over. Now we're at a happily ever after. But what we see in this season, we see in Armando, like you said, with this force and this place at the table, even the way you sit at the table and talk to your mom those 2 times, it's like you got your story across and you demanded to be respected the whole time while you were showing love and compassion and emotionally having this kind of breakthrough, I think. And it shows that you can talk about difficult things on reality TV, but you can still show love for whoever you're talking to. You can still have love and compassion for somebody while you're trying to understand where you came from and giving your side. But this is an Armando that we had not seen before. You're like, this is my story. This is what I was going through. This is what I needed from you and didn't get. Let's move forward because life is definitely changing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
He's found his voice.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm naturally a compassionate person, and loving, and a lot of that was the reason why I got stepped on in the past, and why I went through the things I went through, and why I couldn't be myself, and all that. And definitely finding Kenny, he showed me, and I think his maturity and being older than me helped in teaching me what I needed to do for myself, how I needed to stand up for myself and speak my voice, even though he says now I use it against him. But as a whole, I'm a stronger person, so I thank him a lot for that, but also just life and learning along the way.
Well, and that's what I do want to bring up is we see the way you guys deal with each other. It's like almost you've somehow even traded some behavioral stuff that we saw in season 2. And I want to know, Kenny, now Armando has his voice. That kind of puts a whole different dynamic on the relationship. It's evolved. It's taking the next step. And we are seeing more conflict this season between the two of you. Not conflict in the reality TV way that you're like throwing chanclas at each other and things like that. But there are heated conversations where, Armando, you are speaking your truth and what you want, and Kenny, you the same, which is, again, a little bit different. So, Kenny, how does that affect the relationship now that Armando is, a little bit bossier?
Well, I say silencio a lot. No, I'm kidding. No, it is a little change, but it's also something that I'm really happy about because it really shows me that how much Armando has grown, how confident he is now, sticks up for himself, and even sticks up for himself with me, which is really good because I had to do a lot of changing myself because I was used to kind of doing my own thing, having my way, things like that. So coming into this relationship, he kind of went along with everything I kind of said. And now he's kind of pushing back, which is good. And it teaches me a lot. It teaches me to be a better person and a better husband as well. So I'm actually happy about it. I think it's going really well. And one thing, Alex, that you'll see, like we're getting a lot of comments from people that, oh, look at they're fighting, they're doing this or doing that this season, which you do see a little bit of that. But what it is compromise because compromise doesn't always happen in an instant. Sometimes it takes discussion, sometimes it takes disagreements, and then a compromise is made. And that's what people are going to see as the season progresses.
I actually think it's healthier for audience to see this relationship at work. And I think it's healthier to have a relationship where there is conflict because that shows the growth of the relationship and it shows the reality of it. And there are no weak sides now. It's like, yes, we are coming to this as full partners together, which I think is so healthy for us to see. But I do want to talk about your fans. We know that you guys are the fan favorites. Everybody loves you. And of course, Hannah, gorgeous light in all of this circumstance. But it seems on social media, the fans, now that they've loved you and accepted you, now it's like, okay, I have seen your fans and keyboard warriors be a little bit more forceful in their opinions, being a little bit more on the aggressive side. And I want to know, why do you think that is? And how do you clap back at this kind of social media? Because Kenny, I do see you set the record straight without getting too involved in this social media, which can weigh you down. So why do you think audiences are being more vocal? I don't want to say against you guys because it's not really that. They're just challenging what they're seeing more. Then how you deal with that?
We get a lot of positive. We get a lot of positive messages. I'm not talking just like tens. We're talking hundreds of messages we get from people that are very positive. And they see what we're talking about and kind of the struggles that we might have, like any normal couple has. And you probably have seen once in a while, I'll pick out something that I see somebody is negative. And I kind of like set the record straight. And I try to put him in a place where view it from this way. Don't view it because you dislike me or this or that, or you're used to this kind of thing on some couples on 90 Day Fiance. Try to view it a different way. And sometimes people have come around.
So I want to know, what do you think the nation's fixation with 90 Day Fiance franchises? We have 90 Day Fiance. We have 90 Day Before 90 Days. We have 90 Day The Other Way. We have 90 Day Pillow Talk. Why do we care so much, or why are we so interested in the minutia of these relationships?
Well, I think, I mean, people love drama, and maybe they also love seeing that their relationship is better than the ones they see on screen. I will say I do feel it in a lot of ways, and this is like tooting my own horn, that when we started on the show, people saw a different side to it, not just drama, but also heartfelt emotions and life situations. And that's why people connected with us, and people seem to like us a lot. And we're happy. You know, a lot of people say we're the boring couple because we're not throwing pots and pans, but we show our life as is, and people appreciate that, appreciate the truth in reality TV. And I think that's what we give ultimately.
The lucky thing about 90 Day Fiance is every show you see 6 or 7 couples, and everybody was like us, it would be kind of boring, right? So you have to have those ones that are throwing pots and pans, throwing the F-bombs left and right. You got to have that time. We're kind of like the heart side, I think.
Palate cleanser, they call it.
We're definitely seeing a very interesting season this year. It's very diverse. It's, Armando, we got this question from one of your fans. Do you think you've gotten closer to your mom doing the show, or has it divided you more?
Yeah, well, that's definitely, that's what I said in the beginning. Doing the show has brought our whole family together, not just my mom, but also my dad. And like I said, I've said things that I would have never said, and I've heard things from my family I would have never heard from them. Even the conversation with my dad, I probably would have just never sat down with them, because I will say, I think as a whole, Latin families, you don't sit down with your parents and have these big talks. And so doing the show has given us that chance and opportunity. And so that's why I'm glad to have done the show, and also show a little bit of my life, and know that other people connect with that. And even this last Sunday, you know, I got a lot of messages of people even telling me how they believe that I'm going to help someone out there. Or there was one guy that messaged me and says, you know, I've had doubts about my life and living, and just seeing you gives me hope. Makes it completely worth it.
Sometimes families need to have a wrench thrown in it to kind of shake things up. And when you shake things up, things come out. And it really did in his family, and it's really helped them. They have never had such intimate comment, and it's really come full circle, as you saw last week. If it wasn't for the show, it probably wouldn't have been said. He probably would have just moved away, and then things would have been shut down like that. But it really helped his family a lot.
Which does happen in Mexican families. I can tell you from my family experience, you know, if you're honest with somebody, there's also the risk that they just shut you out, and, you know, there's the end of that. But then there's also the moving away, or the not talking to somebody just because there's been this kind of conflict. I just want to know, well, I have to tell you, with everything going on, the cameras in your face, the dramatic themes this season, you know, that it all brings up. Your little girl, Hannah, is such a great, bright light. She continues to be loving, positive, and somehow even cuter. How has your co-parenting changed the most since you've gotten married and doing the show? And how do you keep her in loop of what's going on without sharing the upset or the drama that comes with it? I think we're having some Zoom issues. Or my question was just so amazing, it just stunted them. There they are. Did you get to hear any of that?
Yeah, we did. We heard it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. With Hannah, she's very mature for her age, and she has really blossomed over the last so many years. And we had a little bit of struggles in the beginning with parenting her, because I had 4 kids and I kept things in line. And you had to. When I had 4 kids so little, I had triplets that were all the same age. So we have really compromised on that a lot. And things have been really smooth on that. And you might have saw too, like a couple people were saying on the conversation we had with Armando's mother a couple weeks ago, and Hannah was there for it. And we got some people saying, how could you have your daughter in that conversation?
I saw all those comments. That's why I wanted to bring this up, because I was like, girl.
Yeah. But, you know, it's like this. It wasn't people yelling and screaming at each other. It was Armando and his mom having a conversation, Armando sticking up for himself and telling his mom, this is how I felt, and this is how I felt then, and blah, blah, blah. she really learned a lot from it. And then after that conversation, we went home, we sat her down and had a talk with her, and any questions she had, and she was proud of her dad that night.
And the thing with that night is, people don't understand. My mom saying that I'm trying to hurt her triggered me. And in that moment, obviously, I went to my own feelings and didn't realize Hannah was next to me. And, I'm human, and that just happened to happen at that moment. And I said what I had to say and what I felt in the moment after I realized Hannah was there. And then it was like, okay, too late. But it's just things that happen.
Well, and I think she has. Well, I think she has a right to be there. Like you, sorry.
Okay, real quick. I'll go.
Yeah.
The show, because a lot of people think, oh, it's not reality, everything is fake, or producers are telling you to do this, and producers are telling you to do that. Like that conversation and all of our conversations and things that we go through are honestly the truth. We really, when we started this show almost 4 years ago, that we said, if we're going to do this, we're going to be real and authentic. And then whatever comes out, comes out. If people hate us, if we help people, whatever happens, we're going to be real about it. And these conversations are really things that are happening at that moment.
100%. I mean, the chemistry that you guys have together, the chemistry that you have with Hannah, and the affection and the growth that we saw from your mom from those 2 episodes, by the way, from the week before and last night's episodes, we see growth from your mom. We see her come into tune with her emotions, no matter how difficult the situation is. And that's just life. And what I was going to say, because I saw those comments too about how could you have Hannah at the table there? I'm like, she has a right to be there. This is her family. This affects her. And the fact that, like you said, Kenny, she is so mature. She knows exactly what's going on, and she is so grounded. And now she's learning how she can express her feelings as she grows up and has her own issues with you as parents, with her surroundings, with her own feelings. And that's the safe place that you're providing. And that's what I see. I don't see the others like, well, kids shouldn't be around. Well, then how do you expect them to learn about life and how to communicate?
That was fresh.
All right. Your internet seems to be coming in and out. I wonder, what city are you in that the internet's so bad? Sorry.
We're in Mexico. Tell you that much.
Did you see how I tried to sneak that in there? Oh, I'm such sneaky. I have to say, though, one thing we have to be very proud of, in your first season that you were on the show, we know that getting the marriage license was so difficult. And now we know since then, same-sex marriage is legal in the whole nation of Mexico. And that's just amazing. And that's, maybe perhaps if your story wasn't out there in such a big way, there wouldn't have been that pressure or those conversations happening.
Well, when we tried to get our license in Baja California, the state that we lived in, to get our marriage license, everybody said, go to Mexico City. You'll have no problem getting it there. And we said, no, we want to get married here. We want to get married where we want to get married, and we're going to fight for it. And after that, when we went back there and we won after we went to the human rights and everything like that, they said all of Baja California, all of the peninsula and that is now going to allow all gay marriage. And it was because of us fighting for it. And then before you know it, the whole country went that way.
I mean, that just gives me the chills. You guys are part of that history, and Hannah is part of that family history too. And Armando, your mom is part of that family history as well. Kenny, we've seen a lot of Armando's, his mom and his kind of family situation. We haven't really heard much from your side of the family this season. What do they have to say about your current situation and this season? Are they watching the show?
They don't, my family, both our families don't watch it a whole lot. I don't think they like to, view it like that, I guess. And some of my daughters even get upset when they read things. And, my one daughter stuck up for me, on something a couple of weeks ago. And I told her, don't worry about that. But they're coming up on the show. A couple of my daughters will be on, and we have some discussions that we need to get cleared up and stuff. Because, we're always talking about moving. We're talking about, so we have a lot of things that we're through. I think people are going to be shocked because we do have some, and a lot is going to be told and lots going to come out.
Well, so in talking with that, you guys are under a lot of stress this season. That's clear. How has your relationship gotten through all of this? What are the keys to a successful marriage while dealing with reality TV, with dealing with these family and relationship issues?
I think it only makes us stronger. What do you think?
It has.
We're like fighters, and he's really come along as a fighter. I always have been the type that I fight for what I want. I set goals and I really try to achieve them. And he's come a long way in that too. So we're disagreements we always know at the end of the day that, you know, we're a family, we're together, and it doesn't matter what other people think or other people say. It's really what's best for us. And we usually figure it out pretty well.
So, like, do you have rules for communication? Like,
did I say it okay?
Well, I do have rules for communication, such as when it gets too heated, I have to step away so I don't say something I don't mean. Or do you have, like, we can't go to bed upset with each other? What kind of rules or, you know, things do you have in place of, okay, this is how we're going to have this discussion?
Well, you actually said both of our rules, basically. I've always told him, let's not go to bed upset. And he always, I need to walk away for a minute. And I need to, you know, take a breather, and then comes back and we can, you know, have a conversation or whatever. Fair feelings, but that's one of our two of our rules.
Well, we never have knock down, drag out kind of deals. We really are pretty good at it. We're 99% where we discuss it pretty calmly. Like I said, next week is that 1% where we didn't. So you'll see that. But it was just like everything was, you know, some people don't understand like, you know, I'll cry a lot or whatever, and he's cried and stuff. But it's like a lot of things that come on the show are actually times when everything is coming to a head. People are seeing it in real time that it came to a head, and you're witnessing what's happening.
Do you think the show is exemplifying exactly where you are at that point in that time of season? We know reality TV needs to edit things down for time. We know people have commented that there's a different energy between you guys and what you're going through. Do you think the show this season is doing a good job of exemplifying exactly what you went through in that period of time?
To me, it's like this. What you see is what happened with us. You know, we did what we did. But those moments, you know, I've told people that you're looking at a moment, you're not looking that happened, but you don't know. You don't know we did like that. So they are showing what we've done, and we always have said that, right? You know, but we can only be responsible for what you see is because that's us.
What is one thing you wish this season showed more of so far? And we're in the middle of it, so you know I know there's a lot for us more to see. But what is one thing you wish that
we're not even in the middle yet? It's still pretty much at the beginning.
It's so delicious.
Until January. You guys, so we're having more Zoom issues. We didn't get that whole chunk of it. Maybe you guys want to reset your... We didn't get that whole chunk.
Can we move?
We can get closer to the router thing. Do we have time?
Yeah. If you want to take like a little quick, because we missed that whole chunk.
Yeah.
Give it 1 second.
Yeah. Okay. So
you bring the mic up.
And I just have to tell our viewers while they're moving. Of course, Kenny Armando's first season is so bingeable and watchable. But I have to tell you, this season, I got through all the episodes, and it's quite. There's a lot to take in, especially with the other couples. But it's such a treat and such a joy to see this couple going to that next level of marriage. And it's like this is the reality of what happens after the honeymoon period is over. So I'm just as enchanted. Plus, for all of the activism that Kenny and Armando do between seasons, between TLC spinoffs, and everything they've done for the community, is just amazing. And I think that's a big reason why we all respond to them so well. Now, where's my TLC spinoff, Tony? What would my TLC spinoff be about, do you think?
Do you really want to know?
No.
But we should be good or better.
There we go. Yeah. Much, much better.
It's okay. That's what it is.
Okay, so I'm going to ask that question again because unfortunately we missed that bit. What is one thing you wish the season would have showed more of, or maybe even less of?
I think just every scene. I mean, there's so many other. When we watch, there's like so much more we said, and we're like, oh my gosh, I wish that would have made it. So it's that there's a lot more to everything that
they have to whittle things down because those conversations usually are a lot longer. So they're pulling pieces of it out. So you don't actually get the whole darn thing, which we wish you could, but it's TV and you can't.
Yeah.
And so, Kenny, we got this from your fans as well. Is how has your relationship with Armando's mom grown or changed as well? Because we see Armando's side of it, obviously, of course, with the language barrier and with the kind of decision of you kind of wanting to move kind of puts a barrier in that. But how has that evolved and changed?
Well, I can't say a lot because obviously it's better between all of us. It's much better than from the first season we were on. But you're going to see coming up some things between his mom and myself, and we're going to see things with his entire family, and my family will be there too. So you're going to see a whole thing come out that I think people will be happy about.
Armando, you have to tell your mom how fabulous her nails are, by the way. I'm just like, look at those nails. They were like in an episode of herself, and with like that one other color. I'm like, girl, it's like glitter.
We were watching, and I said, well, at least she had her nails done.
So fantastic. Okay, this is also from your fans as well. And, this is on the rocks. We're a little tipsy. How's the sex and how do you keep the spark alive? Because now, it's been a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, how can we say? Yeah, actually,
let me say, I think we talked about it on the show. I don't know if it's going to come out, but it got a little spicy. I said a little more than I should have.
Oh.
We'll see if that. Yeah, he got a little dirtier on there. We'll see if that comes out or not because we don't know what they show and what they don't.
Yeah.
But we have never had a problem there at all. And I'll say it for myself, those quiet ones. Watch out.
Trust me, I know. So it's the Mormon ones, and Armando, I know you were Mormon for a time. You got to watch out for those Mormon ones, and then you got to watch out for those boys that went to a boys' school, Kenny. So you put the two of you together, it's like, oh my God.
That's true.
And I honestly have no doubt that it's going well. Just look at the smiles on your faces. So there comes the theme in this season of how much should one person be asked or expected to concede on certain things in a relationship. Kenny, did you feel like, okay, and this is also from one of your fans, I gave up my nation, my family to be here. Now it's time to meet me halfway. Now I can start making some demands. Is that where this kind of came to a head?
No. If you saw a couple weeks ago, we had a disagreement because he kind of said, like, I don't want to feel like I owe you something. And he can tell you now, I won't put words in his mouth, but I have never, ever acted that way. I've never said to him, but I did this, this, and this. I have never done that because it was my choice to come here. He didn't force me. He didn't hold me at gunpoint to do it. I did it on my own. So that is never an issue with us at all. You agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Say
some more. Say more.
Oh.
So we're going to talk in just a few minutes about growing the family, and I know that that's upcoming on the season. I know you can't talk too much about that, but besides growing your family any further, I want to know what is the next big life goal for your marriage? In terms of what is one thing that you want to accomplish as a married couple next, that's outside the realm of talking about growing the family.
Well, I think the biggest next thing is we want to settle down, like decide on where we're going to live. at the end of the day. Meaning like for Hannah to go to high school, that kind of thing.
Oh my God, don't say high school. God, I feel like we've seen literally her grow up right in front of our eyes. You say high school, I'm going to pass out.
She's going into 6th grade. And
Oh
what
my
he
God,
means is
that's crazy.
The next 2-3
we
years.
have a few years where we're still nomads, maybe, like where we actually, but we want to land and set the roots like within the next few years where we are going to definitely be for a long period of time. Buy a house and the whole bit there, and
That's all I can do.
stay put.
Well, I have to tell you guys from your Zooms, obviously you travel or hunker down with an interior designer in your suitcase because it's always spot on, no matter what the surroundment behind you is. It's like, oh, okay, all right, I see.
Well.
Mm-hmm. What do you love most about how the other got through this season?
What do you love?
Yeah, what do you love most about how your partner, your husband, got through this current season? Of course, us still not knowing everything that's coming ahead.
For me, he, ripped open his heart and let his family, his mother, his father, everybody see what's exactly going on with him, where there was no questions asked, which he knows now. We know that we're showing it to the world too. Yeah. So I'm really proud of him for really opening up everything and just letting it all out, and wherever the chips may fall, they fell. And I'm just proud of him because he's really a strong human being. Besides he's very sensitive, he's very kind, but he's also very strong. And it's really hard to find someone that is sensitive, feels, with his heart, feels with his mind, is compassionate with others, has empathy, and yet as strong as he is.
Well, wow. And that was beautifully said, by the way. And now we know that he's a powerverse, so that's amazing.
You're bad.
I know. That's what we do. And Armando, what do you love most about how Kenny got through this?
What? Well, now you're gonna make me look bad. I can't say what I love most about the season because it's gonna be on the show. So you guys have to wait.
All right. We have to tune in. Well, I tell you, I'm already ready for next week's. Like that preview, I was like, damn, girl.
It is really crazy, Alex, because you really forget that those damn cameras are there. You really don't. Because afterwards, like on some things that happen, we'll get in the car or wherever we're going, like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
What did we just do?
Yeah. And like you said, you never know what they're going to put in and what they're going to choose and what they're not going to choose.
Hey, trust me, 100% of everything that we film, you only see maybe 85% of it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we're gonna bring in some friends of yours that you recently connected with, because we're gonna talk about the next step. We're gonna talk about growing our family and the ins and outs of that. I'd like to welcome to the show Matthew and Michael, meeting almost a decade via YouTube videos. Michael and Matt finally met, and it was love at first meet. The two would go on to get married and dominate the vlog world with their travels around the world. Their social media has rapidly grown, and their content is now not just limited to travel, but also captures the humor and reality of married life. Their most ambitious undertaking is yet to come, as the two have decided to add to their family and are currently on the path of fatherhood. What does that look like? Well, it's a long and windy road, and the two have decided to share their journey in hopes of educating and helping others with the debut of their new podcast, Who's Your Daddy? I've said that many times, but it's not to have a kid, I'll tell you that much. The duo and their guests share their stories and information and cover everything from surrogacy, IVF, private adoption, and foster to adopt. Coincidentally, Matthew and Michael sat down with Kenny and Armando to discuss all of that on one of their episodes. Please welcome to the show, Michael and Matt.
Yeah.
Hello.
It was the worst interview we ever had. I'm kidding.
Really?
No, we found out a lot of good stuff. Like, Kenny, one of the things that I found out was how you had your kids to begin with, and that whole kind of process way back when, and the difficulty in doing that, and some of the charade and shenanigans that you had to get through just for that.
That was fresh.
Michael and Matt, you are fans of 90 Day Fiance. What was it like to sit down as another married couple, kind of probably having gone through some of their growing pains yourself? What were you most excited to talk to them about?
It was cathartic. It was amazing because yes, we like 90 Day Fiance is our favorite show of all time. We watch it every week. Last night's episode was incredible, by the way.
Crazy.
And
Yes, we literally watched them on TV last night.
but sitting down, like, yeah, and talking about our common experiences of just, I don't know, growing up gay and then getting into this position where we can actually start to have families. I think that was inspiring to hear from them of like how they've developed their families and have come together over time. So
yeah, definitely. And hearing how Kenny went through kind of, you know, the process that we're sort of going through, but you know, years and years and years ago, and how it's changed.
How much it's changed.
Yeah.
So, and can you
Way
kind of
back in the Stone Age.
can you share a little bit about that story, because I think there is a lot of confusion out there of how you had your kids, and kind of share about the homophobia you kind of had to work through and fake behind to have your kids.
Try to condense it real quick. First, let me say the interview that we did with these guys was amazing. We had the best time with you.
It was your second best time.
Fun.
Second best time.
Okay, yeah.
Second best time.
Second best. We'll talk later, guys.
Yeah.
Now, what I did, I always knew I wanted to have kids, and that was one thing about coming out gay was really hard. I'm sure you guys, if you ever thought about years ago, you know, I want to have kids. How do I have kids if I'm gay? And especially back then, you would have to get married, right? Well, and I thought about that to do that, but then I thought, you know, I can't do that to a woman or whatever. I have to be true. I'm going to figure out a way. And then the early 90s came around, and a friend of mine offered to have a child for me. And in vitro was just starting to come around, and the success rate wasn't very good. But we went in to do it, and they said, you know, you have to marry. You guys are married? Yeah, we're married. Then we had to sign and have notarized that we were married, all that kind of stuff, and we were not. Lied through our teeth.
That's insane.
But yeah, and I had my son, and then a couple years later we tried again, and she was pregnant with twins, but she lost them at 4 months. And then the next year I said, okay, we'll try it one more time, and bam, triplets, and had 4 children that way.
Amazing.
That's insane.
That's what boggles my
wild?
mind. Yeah.
I would be so
Triplets.
nervous. I'm the worst liar in the world. Like, there's no way I could have pulled that off twice.
Oh, honey, no one would believe you were married and straight. So no, just kidding.
No, same, right? Like,
You're like, hey, girl, I want the best baby available. Like,
You know, I just wore some Dockers and a polo polyester shirt.
ours would have to be like flannel or something.
yeah, flannel, like a backwards cap. I'd be like, yeah.
Flatten the hair.
Kenny and Armando, I know that this is an upcoming theme, so I know you can't reveal too much, but can you talk about what Hannah has to say about the conversation of growing the family? Like the first time it ever came into conversation, what was her first kind of reaction?
Yeah, that is upcoming, but she likes being an only child. She likes being the princess, the only girl. So there is something there. But
I have so much in common with Hannah. I just have to tell you, only child, princess, quite beautiful, I might add.
I don't want a sister. If you do this, I want a brother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Both of you have discussed growing your family. Can you all talk about some of the homophobia that exists in third-party baby-having organizations? Kenny, you just shared a little bit of what the expectations were but Michael and Matt, and if Kenny or Armando, if you've had recent kind of experiences with anything, without giving too much away, what is some of the blatant homophobia that exists, step 1, step 2, step 3 of this whole process, no matter which direction you're kind of going in?
So the first thing that you have to do, I mean, it depends on which process you're going through. So I think specifically like surrogacy and adoption, there are agencies, there are clinics that might have a Christian backing behind them that can just flat out say that they don't work with LGBTQ couples. So when you're looking for an IVF clinic, or if you're looking for an adoption agency, as a queer person, you have to see if they're queer affirming and if they work with gay couples. So that's kind of like the first step.
And additionally, with foster care, if you're going to do foster care, foster to adopt, those organizations are usually run, there's like offices regionally or like city specific or like county specific. And it can depend on like the political affiliation of the people that are working at that clinic. So
or what state you're in.
Or what state you're in.
Yeah.
We've heard stories of people getting stuck at these like foster care offices and then just never getting placements, never getting the ability to adopt because they're just there for years waiting and waiting and waiting. Same thing can happen with adoption. Same thing can happen with surrogacy. You can just be put on these lists and then just never hear about getting matched with anyone or anything because of homophobia.
What happened with us, because originally, if you saw in the last season we're on, when Armando brought up about wanting to have a child or having a baby, I was all up for adoption. Where we live, there's an HIV orphanage that only has HIV children, and no one ever gets adopted from there. And one thing you didn't see on the show, and I'll spill the beans on this, we went to an adoption clinic to check into it, and we were filming, and they cut it off, and they said, you can't do it. They wouldn't sign the papers, blah, blah, blah. And so it never got shown. But anywhere in Mexico, a gay couple can never adopt a child.
Wow.
That's
won't happen.
You know, and I'm sure that kind of conversation is happening just like you guys helped change same-sex marriage laws there. I'm sure that that's down the line, but that's probably really far down the line. And we did get to see that orphanage on your social media because you got involved and you helped raise money. And again, that just shows that you guys really support the community. But that's just a very sad fact.
Yeah, they showed the orphanage, and we went to the orphanage, and we ended up doing a fund for them, and we raised $25,000 for the orphanage, for the HIV orphanage, which was really wonderful. And it went a long way for them.
Yeah. I wanted to add, because Michael and Matt kind of reminded me of this, which is it's very unfortunate because every place we've gone to, or adoption or whatever clinic, that you have to ask, are you okay with us being a same-sex couple? We even called back then, we called orphanages, and a couple hung up on me as soon as I asked the question. Know they were affiliated, to religion or something like that. So that's the kind of homophobia I guess we deal with, and it's just sadly a reality that we have to state who we are and who we're with.
That literally he called people, orphanages and adoption agencies, and they hung up on him right away when he said, it's a same-sex husbands, and they hung right up on him.
And how many kids in Mexico don't have a happy home right now because of these laws? I mean, and it's like, who's really suffering here? What point are you trying to prove? If you love children so much, wouldn't you just want them in a happy home? Shouldn't that be the number one priority? That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, we still get, and since the beginning that we've been on with Hannah, you still get those people that say, oh, that poor girl, that she's being raised by us. And I'm sure you guys, Matt and Michael, that you've gotten people saying, you don't need to adopt a kid or have a kid because you're just going to make them suffer and crap like that, which is just BS.
Yeah.
Oh, there's also, sorry, that just reminded me that kind of expectation for LGBTQ plus couples that they need to adopt and that they can't do surrogacy. Like, we can't have genetically tied children, or that we don't deserve that in a way. It's weird because there is this dichotomy of if you're a straight couple that's trying for a baby, people don't ask straight couples oh, well, why didn't you just adopt when they announce that they're trying for a baby?
Right. Or if they're struggling having a child and they decide to use fertility treatments, nobody's having that conversation of why are you guys doing that? Why don't you just adopt? So it's it's a weird double standard of
gay people should solve all of the world's problems and adopt children of the world that straight people take care of.
Except that we won't let you adopt them because we don't think that you'd be fit parents. So it's just this very weird, it's just very difficult thing where I think there are a lot of gay couples that would adopt if it was easier. And it was just more accepting, and it wasn't such, you have to
so
walk
many barriers.
Yeah, so many barriers just to try and
and it's also
family.
It's also elitist, for a gay couple to have a kid, you have to have a certain income. It's there's loving homes. I mean, I was raised by a single mom who we didn't have financial means by any stretch of the imagination, but it was the happiest home that I ever can imagine. I didn't know that we were not the richest, but it's become so elitist that way too, which is so unfair.
Yeah.
exactly.
You don't have to make, $150,000 a year to make a kid happy and to give him a home.
Exactly.
Totally.
But according to that paperwork, you sure do.
Yep.
Both you guys are in the public eye as a couple. How do you know what is too much to share with your fans? What aspects of your life and relationship are you not putting out there? Because we see a lot from both of you. And I know some you can control, some you cannot.
As well, he puts out his feet.
Yeah, they show their feet all the time. But
Feet Finder, hello, they have to pay for, feetfinder.com.
Should we get them up here? Should we get them out?
Hey, this is what I like about these two guys too, is just like the body image issue. They're not just talking,
right,
about kids all the time or that kind of stuff. Even they're talking about body image, and what a person has to go through. And as you get older, now you guys in your 30s, things stick to you now.
Yeah, that's true.
Not your credit score, I'll tell you that.
Like, I'm gonna have a cookie, and that cookie stays with me. I'm like,
or it did not. But that's what I like about these guys, because they show a lot of themselves for them, and that's why they have such a great following and have a big following, and people love them, is because they put themselves out there, show their heart, they're vulnerable, and people love that, and people gravitate towards that
and connect, because I have, even with posts they've made and stuff. So
it's feel like we know them, like we've hung out with them. But there's couples out there that put out, they're like, we had a fight today, and this is our drama, and this is our tears, and it's like they share that aspect. We do see just the kind of positive side. So I'm just curious as to, like, let's not put that out there. Like, what have you said no to?
I think I'm the one who sort of reins in what we put online. I have a more probably like guarded. I'm just a more guarded person, I think, in that. I think Matthew's always been online. He's always been on YouTube. Like, he processes things externally. I process things internally. And so, like, the way that he copes with things is, like, he would make a YouTube video about it. Like, he would just talk about it. And he would have to, like, verbalize it. And his words would have to be, like, spoken. Whereas I, like, take everything internally. And I'm like, just give me, like, a day. And I'm going to process this. And then I'm going to be fine afterwards. Which was super interesting when we first, like, got together. Because he was just, like, talk. Like, everything had to be talked out. And I was like, oh, my gosh. My sister and I made this joke. It was like, everybody's like, don't go to sleep, Matt, or whatever. And Katie's like, why? Like, just go to sleep and, like, get some rest. You'll feel better tomorrow. Like, because I don't get it. Like,
that does not work for me.
There'll be times we'll try and go to bed at like 10 or 11, and then 2 a.m. he's like, hey, I can't sleep. I have to talk about this.
Oh, that's so
let me post about it on Instagram, so we gotta figure it out somehow.
The algorithms. We gotta post by a certain time. Kenny and Armando, is there a podcast in your future?
Not in our no. We've talked about it over the years here, but
YouTube.
But we have so much going on. Yeah. We really do. We have a lot going on. We just don't have time.
We know editing and all that. I've done a little bit here and there in the past.
It takes forever.
How much it takes, and it's just
hit us up if you ever want to. We'll let you know.
Well, I want to see like the double date, Mexico visit. I want to see Michael and Matt come to Mexico, double date.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then drunk Uncle Alexander pops out of the bushes and, here I am.
There you go. Wait to the end of the season so you can see where we're at. And then you can come.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I'm trying to tell with your background right now. I'm like,
everybody is. Everyone's like, and they're all over your Instagram. There's like, did you see that plant? That plant is only indigenous to this city. I'm like, come on, girl. Michael and Matthew, would you do a show like 90 Day Fiance?
Can we say that we were approached for that other one?
Probably not.
Oh, okay, never mind. We were approached for a show at one point. It just didn't, and it wasn't going to work out. And I think it wasn't. I think it was going to be a little bit more like scripted.
I think if it was a show that was like fitting, that
his family would have had to be
us.
Involved, and they were like not on board.
Right. Yeah. But
if there was an opportunity and it like aligned,
Where it felt like natural for us and we didn't have
Yes.
to like feel like we are playing a part necessarily. Like I know there can be a little bit of like wiggle room there where, you know, you might up the drama a little bit here and there, but like I'm not gonna play the part of,
like I said, I'm not like that great of an actor, or like I'm a bad liar. Like it's hard for me to be something that I'm not. So it would have to be something where I could just like naturally be myself.
whereas I love to play this stuff up. Like,
Yeah, Matthew's all into it, and I'm like, oh my god, that's a lot.
They probably watched 90 Day Fiance. You know what I would have did? I would have threw that pan farther.
Yeah.
I would have yelled louder.
Oh my god.
I would do pillow talk like that.
I
Like,
love watching
yeah,
Pillow
let's do
Talk.
Pillow talk. Like,
I'll
let's
literally
do
watch
it.
Pillow Talk right after the episode that just aired, and I'll watch the whole thing over again just because I want to hear all the comments. And, you know, TLC loves 90 days, so maybe there's like, for you guys, maybe there's like 90-day afterbirth. I don't know. Anyway, Kenny and Armando, thank you so much for joining us. It's such a treat having you back on the show. You know, we've chatted for Metrosource Magazine, and it's always such a complete joy. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job with Hannah. Being an only child, you know, I'd look for that. And she's just such a positive light that she brings to that show, and that's because of you guys, and you know, and how you continue to do that. And thank you again for all the trailblazing you do for the LGBTQ community and for the Powerverse community too, by the way, Armando.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your support. You've been there really from the beginning, Alex. So thank you so much for that. And thank you guys too.
Thank you guys. Seriously.
Now, Kenny and Armando, where do you want people to find and follow you?
You can find me on Instagram at Kenneth_90day, and I'm on Twitter at KAN _ Tampa Bay.
And on Instagram, I'm Armando_90day. You can go to our website, KennyandArmando.com, and find some goodies for you guys.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Well, I'm already waiting for Monday's episode like nobody's business. I'm even TLC, can I get some screeners? And they're like, nope. It's because they know I have a big mouth. That's why. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your evening in whatever city you're in. I'm sure we'll find out soon.
Okay, thank you guys.
Bye. Of course, that was Kenny Armando from 90 Day Fiance. You can see them on season 5 of TLC show. Okay, Michael and Matthew. So I've talked with you guys plenty of times, but our audience on the Rocks might not necessarily know how two influencers come together and how you guys met to begin with.
Oh my.
Wow.
I also love talking to you, Alexander. We're so happy to be back.
Yeah.
Always, same. Is that daylight behind you guys, by the way, or is that light?
Yeah. Do you not have daylight right now?
No, it's like 8 o'clock in LA.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's 8 o'clock in Portland, and it's still
sunny?
out.
That's insane.
Wow.
No,
That is interesting.
like-
We're just right up the coast.
Like the hookers have already come out tonight. Like that's how dark it is.
you talking about me right now?
That was fresh.
All right.
Okay,
So
how
how
did
did you
you
guys meet? Yes.
We met over YouTube. It's a super long story, but it is episode 2 of our podcast.
Yes.
It goes through all the details. Basically, we met through our coming out videos. So I posted my coming out video, and then Michael posted a video response to it. And that was like our first interaction to each other. And then, yeah, we talked and quickly fell in love. And we're like, okay, we got to meet. Sweet.
And then he moved to Nebraska for 4 years while I was in dental school, and then hated it. And so he decided that we had to move back to the West Coast afterwards. And I was like, that's fine. So
Yeah, it
here
was
we are in
crazy.
Portland. And we've been here for like 5 years.
You know, it's funny because your relationship is exactly what we see on 90 Day Fiance, where people just kind of jump into the relationship.
It was very fast.
You guys met and decided
thought
this is
about
the
that.
person.
At a certain point, because
It was like 90 Day Boyfriend. kind of.
Yeah.
But it was
Or,
it was like,
or 90 Day Lesbian. I mean, you call it whatever you want. It's like, let's move in.
Exactly.
Let's get the U-Haul. Let's move.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
like, I feel like a lot of people can relate to 90 Day Fiance in that way because a lot of people do move for love or somebody that they meet. And so our relationship started long distance and with visits, but that was only for a few months.
ours would be called 90 Day Fiance Domestic. Like,
Yes.
it's like, this all happened in the US.
We had like just landed and then 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days and
course.
then 90 Day Fiance
Of course.
original. Yeah, all the things.
But, you know, unfortunately, we do see a lot of relationships that when people jump into that, in this kind of drastic change and kind of jump in with both feet, it doesn't always work.
Totally.
But it really worked for you guys. So either it was meant to be from day one and it was just kismet, or you guys have worked hard to make the relationship work, or maybe it's a little bit of both.
Probably both.
I would say it's a little bit of both. I think we were raised sort of similarly in the sense that we both kind of foresaw like marriage and a family in our future. And we had done, I don't think we were wanting to do a lot of like individual stuff. Like we weren't like, I want to be single for a long time and like live my life and then meet somebody when I'm 30 or, something like that. I think we were both very open to sort of like building something at that point in time. And even in the Midwest, like meeting someone when you're like 24 and like starting a relationship from there is like almost kind of late. Like I had friends get married at 21.
That's true. That is like regional. Yeah.
So he found me and he was like, oh, I'm settling.
Now, how did the relationship move into OnlyFans? I mean, social media.
Well, the feet.
We still have never done OnlyFans and never will. So,
honey, never say never. I mean, Charo's doing OnlyFans at this point. She's like,
Thank you. I see
Gucci.
you right now. Yeah, never say never. We could do a non-sexual OnlyFans.
Okay.
Thrilling. Thrilled, I'm sure. No, but how did the relationship move into this full-blown social media couple phenomenon? Like, was it a discussion that you had? Because I know you had done videos separately, but to be like, okay, this is our empire now.
Like, our relationship started through social media. It started through YouTube, which is kind of like, I don't know, different. Most people, are meeting on Tinder, Grindr, other apps, etc. Don't usually meet on YouTube. So that was kind of like a unique thing. And so our relationship was kind of in the public's eye to begin with.
And I swear as well, like there were multiple gay couples that had channels together at that time.
I don't remember. Well, they're not together today. I'll tell you that much.
A lot of them are not.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Nearly all of them are not.
Yeah, I actually think zero of them that I'm thinking of right now are.
We actually interviewed one of the big couples.
Like, okay, like we can. This is something that you can do, and like you kind of like talk about your relationship and like video what you're doing. And I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, like he videoed his trip to Seattle to visit me for the first time. I videoed like our road trip to Nebraska while I was moving over there. So everything was kind of just like recorded and captured in the moment. And I mean, I was already on YouTube. That was like my thing back then. Michael was on YouTube. That like he had just started that year, but was trying to like grow his following and really get into the whole YouTube space.
I wasn't even sure what I was going to do because it was like fun for a little while, but then I was going into dental school and I was like, I don't know if I can continue doing this.
It's a lot of work.
Hang the hat up, and then we met and like lived in the same city and we're dating, and then so I think us being together
it was like a fun thing for us to do
going
together too. Yeah. And so we would always take the camera out when we were going on little weekend trips to Minneapolis or Kansas City or
wherever we could afford to go,
wherever we could drive to.
Yeah. So along those lines, this is an email question we got. You film a lot for TikTok, Instagram, those cute couple videos that we love so much. But how do you keep, this is our question, how do you keep things sincere when you are posing for the camera, kissing for the camera? How do you keep it real life and so it's not always a show? And because we did talk to a gay couple influencer after the fact, and he said how it affected the relationship, that it was all about the camera stuff, and so the reality of the romance behind it, the reality of growing a relationship behind it, was just for the camera and it was not happening in real life, and he wasn't even like aware of that.
If it's too much camera time, my body just gets exhausted from it, and I will be very vocal about needing a break. I think that also happens to him too, where he's just like, totally. I need to shut it down for a little bit. And like, I think it seemed like the camera is obviously something that we use a lot, but in the course of a day, it's not that much. I mean, yes, you see like, a 10-second, 15-second video once a day on these platforms. And I think that gets extrapolated into thinking that we're always in front of it. But I think once you
that's true
get
too.
a handle on it, you kind of know how to use your time.
I think we're very task oriented. So Yeah, a lot of what you see on social media is typically fabricated, especially like, TikTok videos and those Instagram trends and things like that. So, yeah, it's like filming a skit or whatever. So you can do that and be very task oriented to be like, we're setting out, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this. And then once you're finished, it's like, okay, put the cameras away. Like, we're done with that. Let's go do something else.
It's also why I sort of just travel vlogging is kind of what my favorite thing to do is, just because it's like, this is what we're doing. This is where we're at. This is what we see. This is what we experienced.
And we very much set out to with the goal of capturing those things. So it doesn't feel like it's really imposing on we're both in agreement of oh, we want to capture this. This is a fun project. And I love photography. I love videography. So I feel passionate about doing that and I get joy from it. Michael likewise loves capturing things on the go. And yes, those, obviously any kissing photo is staged, right? No matter who you are, no matter what you're doing. Unless a friend took it while you weren't looking or you didn't know necessarily. Right. But I would say 98% of anybody who's posting a kissing photo, engagement photos, your wedding photos, those are all just staged moments. Or a selfie that you're kissing together, it's all staged. Yeah. But I mean, I think in a lot of those aspects, we're taking those photos in places where we're trying to be visible as a gay couple, or we're at an event that's celebrating the LGBTQ community or something like that. And it's also just sort of inspiring us and making us feel comfortable to do that in public. And then I think also that's sort of a thing where we're trying to show people that you can do it. You know what I mean? You can be comfortable in public. You can do that. You can show affection. And you don't have to.
That's a really good point.
I guess our approach is take 5 or 10 minutes and get content, and then the rest of the time be present.
So along those lines, you guys are so busy with married life, with content, and now the decision is, okay, let's have a kid.
Yeah.
How are you going to have time for that? Who started that conversation?
We had that conversation a long time ago, I think. It was always something that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I had a stipulation that I wanted us to have own a house first, so that I just felt more stable that way. And then essentially, I think once we sort of bought our house, we were sort of thinking okay, this is going to happen at some point. We talked to a few people who were in the process of surrogacy at the time and a few people that were doing foster care. I had a friend that had just adopted. And so we were just sort of milling over options for a while and trying to figure out which route to go, before we ultimately landed on doing surrogacy, at least first. And then
I think time wise, for managing time and everything, having a kid sounds crazy. And then at the same time, it's I don't know. I feel our lives will adjust accordingly to it's just going to change. What we do on a day-to-day basis is going to change, and that's okay. We know that that's the direction we want to go, and we want to have a kid, and we're okay with making changes in our lives to account for that.
Yeah.
So, and I know you talk about this on your podcast, Who's Your Daddy? Talk to us a little bit about the choices that you were considering in terms of growing your family. What did you check off? No, this is not for us, and why you've ended up on surrogacy?
Yeah, essentially the three options of non-traditional family building are foster to adopt,
kidnapping.
You can also just be a foster parent, right? You don't have to plan on adopting. You can just open up your home to placements and have them for X amount of months, and with no intention of adopting. But if you're trying to grow a family, foster to adopt is one of the ways. Usually the hardest, just from a mental perspective, a legal perspective, the unpredictability of it.
Yeah.
Then you have, adoption, private adoption, where you're going through an agency, and then surrogacy. So foster to adopt, we were traveling a lot at the time. And sometimes we would just get an opportunity and it'd be can you be here in a couple weeks? And it just felt like that was going to be a lot to try and figure out, a lot to juggle, because you can get a placement within like 48 hours, so you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to be in town.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we felt pretty busy. And I think fostering, you kind of want to be a little bit more
at
home,
the time when
stable.
and I was working
moving.
full time at the hospital. And
Oh yeah.
And then you were just going to part time at a new job,
right?
Or no, you were still part time. You switched jobs during that time. But anyway, like there was way too much going on in our lives to be able to take kids in at that point. So we knew that wasn't a good option for us at that time. But what we could do is start planning to have kids in the future. And so that's where surrogacy came in, because it was like, we can plan 2 years in advance,
right,
and start this process and hope for the best. Of course, you can't control anything in any of these processes, but you can at least like set up your cards the best you can to hopefully get to where you want to go. Especially with surrogacy, because it is a lot of like step-by-step planning.
And private adoption can go really, really well, but it can also be sort of a roller coaster, right? So like, even if you commit to, or the expectant mother is saying like, yes, I'm going to put my child up for adoption, like the child could be born and then they can change their mind right away, and all of a sudden you're back in the grind of things. And I think what we saw just from people that we knew who were going through these processes, we just saw surrogacy done more. And we've, found different reasons for that, predictability. Obviously, some people really want, a bio connection to their children. And so I think we were just sort of like, well, let's start there. It seems like we can kind of take it step by step.
Yeah.
We at least sort of know like what's going to happen. We know that we're signing contracts that when this child is born, it will be, in our home. And then, once we go through that, let's see if we want to expand even more. And then we'll probably look into either adoption or foster care.
So where are you guys in this whole process?
Yeah, we're screening surrogates right now.
Interviewing surrogates, potential surrogates.
That has to be so. I mean, it's a beautiful process, and the result is beautiful. But it has to be a little awkward too. It's like, do we go to mimosa brunches? Like, do I have a questionnaire for you to fill out? Like, are those first few moments a little awkward?
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward because you are talking to somebody and hoping that they will carry your baby.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. And there's no sex involved. So it's just like straight up, you get a baby. Cool. So that's like, it's just interesting. It's so bizarre of a conversation to have, but no, it's great. And there's a lot of steps between like finding somebody who you want to be your surrogate and actually getting there to the point where they are pregnant. Yeah. And there's so many hurdles to jump through. And at each of these stages, it could be somebody telling you it's not going to work with this person. You have to go find someone else. So it's hard. This is like months and months and months of planning. And you try to like find a person who's going to work really well in the scenario. And then there could be, I don't know, a medical record that doesn't match right for what the IVF clinic needs, or a financial situation, or something like anything can come up, and it would just like start back at square one, where you have to like interview and try to find somebody. So that's kind of where we're at, and we're just fingers crossed and hoping for the best.
That was fresh.
I want to know, and this is getting a little deep here. You guys met early. You have this whole married life, and now you're going to get into fatherhood. How do you maintain your individual identities? You guys are known as Michael and Matt. I mean, even the website. I mean, that's what it is. That's the Instagram. And it's like, and you've entered married life early, and now you're going to enter fatherhood as early parents. Where do you keep your individual personality? Where do you keep your own mental health while being in this relationship, while now being in fatherhood? But also, you guys are still young. You're still your own person still.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's interesting. There are a lot of like social gatherings, social events that I will just let Matthew go to by himself.
Yeah, I didn't see what Palm Springs Pride, by the way.
You what? You did it?
Yeah,
No, I did not.
That was a good time. That
Yeah,
was a good time.
that
I need to
was.
come back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like he was there, I was not. I think we each have our things that we need to do to like keep ourselves sane. A lot of that is just like physical activity.
Self-care.
If I, at some point in the course of the year, I'll be like, I have not like hiked up a mountain and seen a waterfall in like a long, long time, and I need to go spend some time in nature. We're just in a really nice part of the US to do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll go and take a weekend out on the coast and just sort of like reset, recharge. I get a lot of joy like visiting my family, just because they're far away. I've had a few of them visit, which was really fun. And then we'll go visit them and spend time with like nieces and nephews and stuff. But we'll do like individual activities, with friends. We don't always have to accompany each other through things.
Yeah. And that's something that we're working on too, is like more autonomy to be able to do our own things and be free from each other in the way of like
free from each other. Just take time to ourselves.
Just take time to ourselves and being able to, be your own individual.
Well,
And I work out of the house like 2 days a week, which doesn't sound like a lot. And it's very nice to only have to do that 2 days a week. But I have my like little space where I'm my own little professional in my own little world. He
has his friends that he hangs out with. I have my friends that I hang out with. We're able to like do things separately. Hobbies that I have hobbies that I enjoy. He doesn't. I go and do my thing. He does his thing. So like, yeah.
I think that's so healthy. And I think a lot of, new couples forget that. And, I think that's where it's like, you're together. Like, let's just assume we're together. Let's take all the jealousies away. Let's take all the insecurities away. And let's just focus. And that, yes, it's normal to have your own time. And it makes the time together even that much, more special.
Yeah, it's necessary. It's like, it is needed. It is like, you have to have your own time. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
You also talk, and this is what Kenny Armando brought up, you also talk about non-married life issues that we go through as gay men. Matthew, you've been very open about your issues with body image. And it still surprises me because you're sharing a very positive message. And we see people's comments all over the place on social media. It's hard not to look at weird comments. I wouldn't even say that they're hurtful comments. They're just weird. It's like, what are you really focusing on? Are you not getting this whole, like, the idea of behind these posts? Like, what's it your business? And so I would say some of these comments are very, very weird, and you've addressed them. Can you talk a little bit about your journey in terms of body image and where you are today?
Yeah, not in a great place yet with body image. We're still working through it, definitely. So I talked about this on the podcast episode recently, on body image. And what I like kind of realized is that my issues with my body, of how I see myself, developed the same time that I started to realize that I was gay. So what I was noticing was that I was just different from other people in my class. I felt like I thought I looked chubbier than them. I wasn't as athletic as them. I was more of like a soft body, while my peers were kind of like starting to like have muscles and things like that. And I was like, this is so different from me. And I didn't feel like I was good at athletic activities. The girls wanted to be my friend, but they didn't want to date me. The guys didn't really like hanging around me, but they liked hanging out with each other. So I was noticing all these things where I didn't feel like I fit in any certain category. And I started to find faults within myself, like my body, like my athleticism, and kind of pinpointed that those were the reasons why people don't like me. And I wasn't able to like share anything with anyone. It was really like, I'm hiding my body, I'm hiding my sexuality. Like, nobody can see what's really going on, and I just need to put a face on and be better than everyone else and be like perfectionistic on everything, to try to so that everybody would love me. And that just continued. But I think I've repressed it for so long that I didn't really realize like this issue with my body image. Like I've always thought negative things about my body and have felt very self-conscious about my body. But typically I ignore those thoughts and feelings and I don't tell anyone about it because I'm ashamed of it. And I just act weirdly around other people when they ask me to take off my shirt or to go swimming. And I get angry when and self-conscious at clubs when people are all wearing mesh and I don't feel like I can wear the same thing as they can because people will see that I'm chubby around the middle or that I have a little extra fat, like that kind of stuff. So that's what's really weird is that like by not addressing the issues that I have with my body and having this body dysmorphia, it just comes out in all these weird and hurtful, harmful ways. And it's affected our relationship where I get super angry and self-conscious and upset. And I have a hard time putting words to it because I'm so like just pushing down the feelings and thoughts that I have around my body. But it's just been like this last year that I've really started to be able to see what's going on in my brain and try to figure out how to get out of that.
And it must be weird going on that journey and still having people make stupid comments. And, you know, when you talk about like, oh, you know, I can't wear a mesh shirt. It's like, girl, who are you talking to? You know, we just don't know what the other person's going through. Like I look at somebody like you and be like, oh, my God, if I had your body, I would be on every pride float parade from here to Timbuktu, you know.
Oh,
but
my God.
Everybody's journey is very different.
Yeah, it is. And I think that it's a big issue in the LGBTQ community. And I'm speaking on this from a gay biological male born perspective. So like, I think from what I see from other people like me, it's very easy to repress these feelings and be ashamed of it and not want to talk about it. And I would also get angry if I see other people who I find attractive or who I think are really fit and they're talking about their body dysmorphia, because that to me is unfair, because I would do anything to have that body or to look like that. And so I understand like where people are coming from because it is upsetting, but like I'm upset about it because of my own body dysmorphia. It's just that a lot of us don't want to recognize or like look at that, and it's threatening when other people talk about it because it makes us like look in the mirror and see what's going on.
Michael, how can you best support a partner going through these kind of issues? Because it must be difficult on your side as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think just trying to figure out what aspects of life or what activities will make it, you know, make him have a more positive outlook on it. I think one of those things is just like, if you don't want to go to the pool, then that's fine. If you don't want to take your shirt off, that's fine. Like, I think a lot of people will just, they don't really get it if somebody's at the pool and they're, you know, wearing like a cute little top in their swim trunks and everybody's in the pool and they're like, come on, get in, you know, and like just kind of like poking. And you're just like, no, I don't want to. So just being aware of, I think, just those little things of not trying to pressure him to do something that he doesn't want to do. There have been a lot of times where like, he's like, I'm not going in the pool or I'm not doing this. And I'm like, that's fine. And then he ends up doing it because, you know, something changes. He feels comfortable.
It's a safe place. Yeah.
I try and point out, you know, I think when he goes to the gym, he's mentioned he sees everybody around him is like more fit than him. And I'm like, I don't see that at all. Like I see people who are way less fit. I mean, however you want to
and that's what everyone's at the gym for anyway.
Right.
You know?
Right. Or way more fit than me. Right. So when I go to the gym, I see people on when I'm looking at them, I'm like, right. Oh, okay. You know, they have this.
But I typically have blinders on and I'm only seeing the people who are super fit and the bodies that don't look like my bodies. And it's this comparison that automatically occurs and it puts you in a dark place when you're in situations.
Not that he has to have the same outlook as I do.
Right.
But I think
it's good to be aware.
Just trying to be like, you know, I typically see like when we're out at parties or we're out at the pool, like our friends who we're hanging out with, I see a lot of different bodies that are shirtless, wearing Speedos, wearing swim trunks, wearing whatever. Or even at the gym, like I just see a lot of different body types. And when I see those people and I'm like, I could kind of care less about what they look like and whether or not they would be fun to talk to. Like I've met so many people who are like way more physically fit than I am, but just nothing's going on up here. And I'm like, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, if we can't have a conversation, I do not care how pretty you are. It's like, I would much rather have, anybody else who can hold a conversation. And I don't care what they look like, and I think that's just maybe my perspective on it. And so then I reflect maybe that back on myself. And I'm like, look, if I'm a good person, if I'm nice to people, if I can carry on a conversation, they shouldn't care what I look like.
100%.
And I think that's how it should be. I don't know.
And I do think we're seeing that kind of representation of diversity of bodies. We're seeing it in mainstream media, but now we're also seeing it in LGBTQ media. We're seeing different body types. We're seeing different colors. We're seeing all these different personalities in all their glory. So I think that's a conversation that's actually happened pretty fast. I think COVID had a lot to do with it because a lot of these perfect bodies, we were all at home. We had nothing to do but order Uber Eats. Guilty. And so I think people had a different relationship with their bodies because, they did enjoy food. They weren't at the gym 4 hours a day like some people do. And so I think people came out of COVID being okay where they are because they're happy and they're comfortable. Mm-hmm. So I think that conversation has happened quickly. All right. I want to know, when you have kids, what is the biggest piece of advice you would want to give your child about life?
God, that's hard. Oh, that's a big one. Ooh, heavy.
I think something that maybe was talked about when I was younger, I think it's just finding there's good in everyone. Like everybody is very worthy of love, of support. If you don't have to like them, but just know that there's some good in them. And even though we see a lot of bad things happening around the world, or in the news or whatever, social media, etc., just to be respectful to people and be nice to people. And
that's an optimistic viewpoint. Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Yeah.
I would tell them, I think of the idea of unconditional support and just being able to tell our children that they will be loved and supported no matter what they decide to do in their life, and what they want to be, who they want to be. I just want to set that kind of tone from the beginning to be able to know that there's radical acceptance that we're not going anywhere and we will love and support them no matter what. So I think that's super important and gives a kid a good base to go off of, just knowing that they will be loved and supported.
You guys, I just love chatting with you, like we said. And you guys, I can't wait till we find out what Kenny and Armando have to say next week. I think there's some big news on the horizon. I'm just obviously it's about where they live, and obviously it's about whether they're going to grow their family or not.
I know.
Big things.
All right.
Also, I'm obsessed with that couple, the guy from Oregon who's gone to the Philippines.
Oh my God. It's so uncomfortable. Uncomfortable.
I am just watching it. I'm like, oh my God, it's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, wow.
That one, yeah. And then the girl who went to India, and she's like, I'm not going to do any of that. I don't know how that's going to end up either. It is very,
I was
very
trying to watch the Pillow Talk, but it was too, it was time to go to bed, and I couldn't fast forward far enough. And I was I really want to see what the Pillow Talk is on this girl, because I have some words, I don't know.
Same. It's a good season.
Did not think this through at all.
Such a good season. All right, gentlemen. Where can we listen to your podcast? Where can we find and follow you?
Who's Your Daddy podcast? On Apple Podcasts,
Spotify, wherever you stream. It's available on all platforms. We also post visual podcasts on our YouTube channel. So Michael, youtube.com/Michael and Matt.
And who's your child?
Oh, this is yes, it's uploading now to a new.
Yeah, so we had made a separate YouTube podcast page. So it's if
awesome.
you want to watch the visual of it, it's youtube.com/Who's Your Daddy podcast. It also has its own Instagram page with all the little cut downs of the best snippets of all the episodes. But where you'll find us every day is Michael and Matt 1 on TikTok, Michael and Matt on Instagram, and then
basically search Michael and Matt anywhere, and
it pops. Except Grindr. I looked on Grindr. There was no Michael and Matt on Grindr.
Well, keeping him honest.
Gentlemen, I can't wait to see what happens with your family, and we're around for the whole ride. Thank you so much for sharing your life story with us. Thanks so much for coming on, and let's all go to Mexico. Like, let's just drop in.
I'm ready.
Family trip. Let's go.
I think Kenny would end up hanging out with us till like 2 or 3 in the morning, and Armando would be like, I'm going to bed at 10. Like, I think that's what would happen.
100%.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, go back to your sunny evening. I can't believe it's sunny there. That's insane.
The sun's going down now. But,
yeah.
You know.
All right. Well, and I'm going to come visit you guys soon, and we'll party it up before you officially become daddies.
Perfect. Yay! Thank you so much for having us, Alexander.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Well, and that's all, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here every weekend on The Rocks. Big thank you to our engineer, Tony Sweet, our social media clip editor, Alexis Mendez. Please like, share, subscribe so we can continue bringing this fabulous programming coming your way for free. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and if you drink, stay tipsy. Why not? This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioShow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.